Thank you, Kim. Oh my goodness. Oh man. So y'all couldn't hear me. Thank you, Kim, for letting me know. So let me go back again then. We're going to be talking about Dear Me. Dear Me is this challenge is based on my best-selling book that we released in August. It's an anthology. Dear Me, I See You is a collaboration of intimate letters from a woman's heart to the little girl within. And so I always say that when the seasons change outside, it signifies to me that something in my life has changed. And it also signifies to me to be able to address certain things to see where do I need an identity shift. And since y'all couldn't hear me, let me go ahead and take this off. Oh, I think I needed that. Okay. So when we're talking about Dear Me, I See You, it's a declaration. It's a declaration from yourself to the part of yourself that is ready for transformation. There you are. Thanks, Kim. It's ready for transformation. Now, that word ready could mean different things to different people. You may say, well, I'm not ready for transformation. I'm not ready to embrace change. I'm not ready to evolve. And I'm certainly not ready to excel in that area of my life. But I want to tell you, as you begin to shift in your life and move into different seasons of your life, that's the very thing you need to try hard to do, is do that thing that's hard. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight is Dear Me. What is the declaration that you need to make to yourself? Here on day one, we're going to be talking about self-abandonment to self-trust. That's one of the hard things that I had to learn for myself, that I had learned how to self-abandon myself, and I had to give permission to myself to learn to trust myself again. And when some of these definitions that I'm going to give y'all tonight, you may not be able to Google it, but it's what it means to me when I think about it. So bear with me on that. There you go. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you. Um, she said, there you are. Okay. All right. So let's get started here. When we think about identity shift, again, when I looked research up some years ago and I was looking up things about a mirror, I found that in the 1800s and all that, they called a mirror a looking glass. And when I think about an identity shift, I ask you, what is it that you're looking into that's determining for you who you are? What are you gazing into that's defining your worth, your value, your capabilities, what's possible for you? You know, you hear, when we read the word, we hear what the word says, but sometimes because of how we identify and what we identify with, it says, well, maybe that's for somebody else. That may not be for me. So when we do Dear Me, we're declaring to ourselves to get our own attention. We're taking our eyes off of everybody else. We're removing the distractions and saying Dear Me in that declaration. That's a bold thing. And it's not easy, but it is doable. And so I want to talk to you tonight about one of the areas of my life in different seasons of my life that I had to work through in order to be able to evolve in my Dear Me season. And one of those things is self-abandonment. So we're going to talk about self-abandonment to self-trust. Now, we know what our identity shift is. It's the act of moving closer to the highest version of your authentic self. Your authentic self. And that's why it's so important what we use to determine who we are. When we look in the mirror, who do we see? What do we see? And it doesn't have to be something that just started. It doesn't have to be something that just started. Woo, that's deep. Thanks, Kim. It doesn't have to be something that just started. And many times it's not something that just started. It's something that happened in your younger version of yourself. Maybe not as a younger child, but maybe as a wife, maybe as being a mother. And those things determine for you who you are. So tonight, as we talk about self-abandonment and getting to the place of self-trust, it's important for you to be able to identify for yourself what it is, what looking glass are you looking into? So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments for me, because you're going to be talking back to me. I'm not here by myself. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what your thoughts are, hear what you have to say, and then we're going to proceed. I'm just looking at my phone to make sure everything is good. Okay, good, Kim. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let's see, when we go to our next slide, dear me, embrace. So my definition relating to this challenge, when I say dear me, embrace, it's embrace the truth. And it means to hold it close to you instead of denying it or pushing it away. So think about it like this, the way that I always think about embracing when we talk about owning our stuff. To me, that's an embrace. Many times we push things away because when we look in that looking glass and define who we are, we don't want to define anything that's contrary to that, even if it aligns with what that looking glass tells us about ourselves. So in that shift, in that season of shift in your life, it's important for you to begin to give yourself permission to say, dear me, embrace the truth. Dear me, embrace me. Embrace the thing that scares you. Embrace the thing that makes you feel ugly inside. When you start thinking about how you're showing up for yourself, it doesn't make you feel good about yourself, but it's something that's familiar to you, but you push it away because you don't want to take ownership of it. But when you say, dear me, embrace, you're drawing it close so that you can deal with it, because until you pull it close and deal with it, then you can't change it. And we're talking about the season of change and transition in our lives to be able to redefine for ourselves who we are by giving ourselves permission to say, dear me, embrace it. And then as we begin to embrace, then we can begin to evolve. And that means to develop gradually into better. When we think about change, sometimes we want a drastic change. Just like when we want to lose weight, we want a drastic change. And we do some things sometimes that aren't healthy for us. And then we're fearful of gaining back what we lost because of the way that we released it. So when we talk about evolving, we're talking about making gradual changes in order for us to be better, because we're working towards that identity shift of getting to our highest authentic self. And then as we follow those steps, then we can exhale. And y'all, I love this picture of myself because it reminds me to give myself permission to exhale. And that means to do something better than you usually do. Simple as that, right? And we can all do that. Now, who is ready to give themselves permission to shift their identity? And if you are, go ahead and put a 2 in the comments for me. Put a 2 in the comments for me. All right. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. That was like my housekeeping. That was my housekeeping to get us started. Now, our topic tonight is self-abandonment to self-trust. Now, how many of you have ever thought that you abandon yourself in any situation? If you ever felt within yourself that you have abandoned yourself for any reason, I want you to put a 3 in the comments. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. So I'll put a 3 in the comments for myself. So what we're going to talk about tonight is one of the chapters in the Dear Me book for me is Invisible, Seeking My Reflection in Daddy's Eyes. To me, when I wrote Invisible, that's how being abandoned makes you feel. All right, Kim, and then Tracy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. When we talk about abandonment, and this is another one of my definitions, abandonment for me is that fear of someone leaving you, you not knowing when they're going to come back or if they're going to come back. And then when they do come back, you are afraid that they're going to leave again. So it makes you feel unstable. It makes you feel anxious. It makes you feel like you're not worthy. You're not valuable enough for them to stay. You're not valuable enough for them to keep their word to you. And especially as a child, when you deal with something like that, yes, Tracy, it makes you feel unsafe. And we all want to feel safe. For me, as a child, that's how I felt, unsafe. I felt as if I didn't have anybody to protect me. I learned that people tell you things and they don't keep their word. And then you're looking for them. You're looking all around to see when are they coming. They said they were coming, but they're not showing up, but you're still searching for them. And so as you grow up and you enter into friendships and other relationships, and you haven't dealt with that abandonment, you begin to abandon yourself in order to keep people around you. But because we're on this Dear Me journey, we are addressing those feelings when we say, why am I self-abandoning me? Because those were the coping skills that you gained because of the experience that made you feel unsafe, unsteady, having the fear that people would leave or not come back. And as you began to enter into other relationships in your life, you began to push aside what your heart desire is, what you wanted for yourself, what you felt. When you wanted to say no, you said yes because you did not want those people to leave you, because you did not want to feel that sense of abandonment. And in order for us to get to our highest authentic self, we have to really be able to not just say, I abandoned myself, but follow the breadcrumbs back to the place in your heart where you begin to push you aside. You became a chameleon in order to not feel those feelings again, because nobody wants to feel unsafe and unsteady in their life, right? So when we think about someone betraying us or lying to us or not keeping their word to us, those things can also feel like abandonment, right? Because until you deal with those things that you first felt when you were abandoned, then you think that that's normal, right? You think that that is normal. So when people lie to you, when people betray you, when people tell you they're going to do something and they don't do it, you begin to expect for that to happen. But you put on the mask that tells you that it's okay. You know, this is normal. I need to do something different. I need to act a different way. Then they'll come back. That doesn't really work. For me, looking for my reflection in my dad's eyes was me trying to find out who I am. Was if I can see myself in his eyes, that meant that he was looking at me. That meant that he could see me. That meant that I was important, because if he could see me, then that meant something to me. But because he didn't, I felt invisible. So how does that feel when you grow up and you start to neglect your own needs and neglect your own wants? Then you have children and you put all of their needs and desires before yours, because in some way, if you give them everything that they need, then that proves that you're a good mom, you're a great person, and they're going to give you that validation to tell you that you're good. And then you begin to look for your image and your identity in their eyes. So it just switches people. What I want you to think about tonight is the people who lied to you, the people who made you feel unsafe, that made you feel unsteady, that made you fearful that they weren't going to come back or that they were going to leave. How does it feel when you do that to yourself? Because we give ourselves permission to make decisions and don't keep what we said we were going to do. Take, for instance, we say that we're going to work out. We say that we're going to eat better. We say that we're going to get up a little earlier so we can do this or that. We say that we're going to stop saying yes when we really want to say no. We say that we're going to take time for ourselves. And slowly and surely, we find out and realize that we have stopped, and we didn't even realize we stopped, because we've become accustomed to not finishing. You're abandoning yourself because somewhere in your subconscious mind, you remember what it felt like that when somebody said they were going to do something, they didn't do it, that it became okay. But what it does for us is it stops us from trusting ourselves. And as you begin to shift in your life, it's important that you learn how to make yourself feel safe. Go back to what we talked about in the beginning about what are we identifying ourselves with. I looked for my dad to tell me I was valuable. Even into marriage, I was still looking for myself in his reflection. I was looking for him to somehow look back at me and tell me that he could see me and that I was valuable, to say, yes, you did a good job. I wanted to be a daddy's girl. So I figured if I pretended to be this way, or I pretended to do that, or even when he put me down and I acted like it didn't bother me, that if I didn't act like it bothered me, then he would draw me closer. And I lied to myself. So again, I betrayed myself in order to get what I needed in my reflection, that I use that to define who I am. Does that make sense to y'all? If it does, put a 4 in the comments for me. Put a 4 in the comments. All right. So we learned how to abandon ourselves. I want to take you back to how we are created. And let's just be honest. I found my healing in God. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Tracy. I found my healing in God. I had to change what I considered my looking glass in order to begin to trust myself. I had to first embrace the truth that I had given up on myself. Have you, when was the last time you gave up on yourself? You made all these commitments to yourself and written all these goals down, and you keep finding out that slowly and surely you haven't done anything that you said that you were going to do for yourself. And it has become easy. It's building a muscle, just like we build a muscle when we abandon ourselves. We have to build a muscle to learn how to trust ourselves. Too many times. Absolutely, Kim. I'm with you on that. So when we start thinking about, dear me, embrace me. Nobody can make you do anything that you don't want to do. And even when that means doing what's better for you, if you no longer want to abandon yourself, just like you unconsciously gave yourself permission to abandon your needs, your desires, your wants, all of that, you have to give yourself permission to learn how to take the steps to begin to trust yourself. Just like this, when you're in a relationship and there's been some sense of betrayal, someone has said they were going to do something and they didn't. They lied to you. They betrayed your trust. They are inconsistent. That makes you feel unsafe, right? Well, what if the person who told you that was you? What would you need from you in order to be able to trust yourself? If you're in a relationship with someone else and they have done those things, what do you need from them in order to begin to trust them again? You need for them to be consistent. You need for them to do what they say they're going to do. And if things happen where they can't do what they said, you want to have some communication with, I can't do this. This is why. Let's create another plan. You want for them not to lie to you. You want them to do the work to get to a point where you can trust and take them at their word. You want them to do what it takes for you to be able to trust them again, so that you can feel your heart protected with them. You want them to rebuild that muscle inside of you that can take them at their word. So how about you do that for yourself? How about you begin to honor what you say you're going to do to yourself? Choose one or two things in the next 30 to 60 days that you really want to do and change for your life, so that you can be able to embrace change and you can begin to evolve in that area, so that you can excel in that area and have an identity shift for yourself, so that you can reach your highest authentic self. What are those two things that you can? Let's start with 7 days. What can you decide to do for the next 7 days? Something that you have struggled with, that you've given yourself permission, unconsciously or consciously, to stop doing, even though you said that you would do it? What is that second thing that you need to do to learn how to retrust yourself, to be able to take you at your word, to know that when you say yes or no to yourself, that it's an authentic yes or no to yourself? If you're okay with doing it, share one thing in the comments with me that you're willing to work on for the next 30 days to be able to build your muscle to go from self-abandonment to self-trust. If you're not ready to put it in the comments, put a number 5 in the comments to let me know that you're going to work on it, because it may be something super personal and you don't want to share it, and that's good. Just put a number 5 in the comments if you're ready to decide what is that one muscle, that one thing that you're going to give yourself permission to work on in the next 30 days, so that you can begin to build your muscle. Because you're saying, dear me, I see you. I see you, how I talk to myself. I like that. I like that. All right. So when you decide on that thing that you're going to do in the next 7 days, the next 30 days, to be able to rebuild the trust in yourself, so you can say, this is how this came about for me. Dear me, dear me, I don't trust you, but I'm ready to learn how. This is how you recommit to yourself. You are embracing your truth that you have abandoned yourself in that area. And you're saying, dear me, I'm ready to learn to trust you. I'm ready to change what I look into to define who I am. And you work that thing. You work it until it becomes real to you. And knowing that there is going to be some obstacles that come up to cause you to stop it when you don't even realize that you're stopping it. So what tools can you put into place to help you on that journey, that where you get to a certain place, sometimes you realize, oh, when did I stop doing that? When did I stop doing what I said I was going to do? Do you need to post something on your mirror? Do you need to hang something in your car? Do you need to write something in your Bible, whatever book that you're having, that you're always using? Do you need to write notes to yourself? You have to prepare for the obstacles that you know that are going to come, because beforehand, the dear me was given permission to quit. Now you're giving yourself permission to see yourself, work the muscle of change, so that you can embrace you and have a new identity shift. All right. So I hope that this has been great for you guys. I'm excited about this challenge. Dear me, I see you is a power statement. It is a position of power. And tonight we talked about going from self-abandonment to self-trust. Think about how hard it was for you to learn to trust someone that betrayed your trust, that lied to you, that deceived you, that didn't honor what they said. And by not honoring what they said, they didn't honor you, and how that makes you feel. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. And begin to look at it, of putting that mirror in front of your face and saying, I did this to myself also. And you don't want to continue to feel like that. So that means you're giving yourself permission to do that thing that you said that you would work on for the next 7 days, for the next 30 days, and creating those different strategies so that you can begin to shift your identity and become your most authentic self. All right. All right. Did y'all enjoy this? If you did, put a 6 in the comments for me. Let me know you enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Kim. Oh, I'm so excited about this. This is a great first step to take on this journey, because thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that, on this journey, because so many of us don't realize how we have abandoned ourselves, and we've put the blame on everybody else around us in our life, no matter if they had a part in it or not. We focus so much on them that we have forgotten that there are times that we have abandoned ourselves. But it's okay. We can always shift. Thank you, Tracy. We can always shift what we're looking to. Remember that looking glass. If it does not bring you to your highest authentic self, then it's time for you to get a new looking glass and begin to shift your identity so that you can embrace, evolve, and excel. And I know when you guys put those things into action, you are going to excel and see those changes in your life. So dear me, I'm learning to trust you. Dear me, I give you permission to shift your identity. All right. So guys, that's all that I have for you. I'm so excited for you to join me. Join me here on Wednesday. I will be back with another message. I'm going to try and keep it for about 30 minutes so that I don't keep you guys long. So until Wednesday, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to tell your sister friends about it and invite them over, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you.